The cold winds of Konoha tore through the village streets, whipping Naruko's golden hair across her tear-streaked face. Her small legs ached as she sprinted through the narrow alleys, the furious cries of the mob chasing after her. "Monster! Demon girl!" The words cut deeper than the knives they waved, each syllable a fresh wound. Behind her, the mob surged like a wild storm, villagers armed with sticks, kitchen blades, and torches, their faces twisted by hate. Naruko's heart hammered violently in her chest, every beat echoing her fear. She couldn't understand their hatred. All she had ever wanted was to be loved. She squeezed through a tight passageway between two old buildings, her breath ragged. For a brief moment, the shouting faded. Her trembling legs carried her toward the tall gates of the Namikaze estate, the place she called home. The massive iron gates loomed ahead, a harsh reminder of what she longed for but could never truly reach. Warm light spilled from the living room windows. Naruko could hear the soft laughter of her parents, the sweet giggles of her baby siblings. Creeping closer, she peered through the open window. Inside, Minato and Kushina played with their twins, their faces glowing with love and joy. They didn't even notice Naruko standing outside, watching silently. A hollow ache spread through her chest. Forgotten again. Unwanted. The sting of neglect hurt more than the villagers' stones ever could. Without a sound, she turned away, shoulders shaking. Her small feet carried her to her room, a cold, bare space that felt less like home and more like a cell. Curling into herself, Naruko cried until exhaustion pulled her into a restless sleep. When her eyes opened again, everything was different. The scent of damp earth filled the air, and water dripped steadily somewhere nearby. She sat up, realizing she was no longer in her room, but inside a dimly lit sewer that stretched endlessly in every direction. From the shadows, two immense crimson eyes flickered open. As she approached, the colossal shape of the nine-tailed fox came into view. But its gaze wasn't filled with rage. Instead, its eyes carried a heavy, sorrowful calm. "Naruko," the deep voice rumbled, vibrating through the air. "My essence has been sealed inside you. They fear what they cannot comprehend." Her fear faded into confusion. "Who are you?" she asked softly. "I am the Kyuubi," the beast replied, its tails shifting slowly behind it. "And I am also part of you. I have witnessed your suffering. Allow me to grant you a gift, a bloodline that lets you command gravity itself, and with it, the sensitivity to feel the world's energy around you." A surge of warmth flooded Naruko's body, spreading from her chest to her fingertips. The Kyuubi's eyes glowed brighter. "Your chakra chains are now unsealed as well. Train them, they will protect you." The fox's figure began to fade, its voice echoing softly as it disappeared. "Grow stronger, Naruko. Let their fear turn into respect." The world around her dissolved, and she found herself once again lying in her bed. But the memory of that encounter lingered: gravity control, chakra chains, heightened senses. For the first time, she held something powerful, something that could change everything. She would train, she would become strong, and one day they would acknowledge her. The next morning, Naruko set out for the Hokage Tower, her eyes burning with determination. The third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, was the only adult she trusted completely, a grandfather figure in all but name. She told him everything: the mob, the Kyuubi's words, and the strange power she now possessed. Hiruzen listened quietly, his expression grave yet gentle. When she finished, he sighed deeply. "Naruko," he said, "you must keep this to yourself. Power like this invites danger. Trust no one unless they earn it." He took her to his private residence, a peaceful home surrounded by a serene garden. Inside, Biwako, his wife, was seated with a cup of tea, her smile kind and maternal. After Hiruzen explained what had happened, Biwako's eyes widened slightly, though her calm demeanor quickly returned. "Oh, child," she said softly, setting her cup aside, "you won't face this alone. We'll help you learn to control it." From that day, Naruko began her training under Hiruzen and Biwako's care. Biwako started with sensory control, guiding her through quiet concentration exercises. "Close your eyes, Naruko," she said, her voice gentle but firm. "Listen, feel the air, the rustle of leaves, the presence of chakra around you. The world speaks, you just have to learn how to hear it." Hiruzen, meanwhile, focused on chakra control. Through meditation and precise breathing techniques, he taught her how to mold chakra with purpose. "Chakra," he explained, is like water, calm or violent depending on the will of its wielder. Discipline and patience are the keys to mastering it. Naruko worked tirelessly. Her hands trembled, her focus wavered, but she refused to quit. Every drop of sweat brought her closer to mastery. Gradually, she learned to sense faint chakra signatures and mold her energy with control. She was no longer the crying child at the gates. She was becoming something greater. 2 years passed in steady progression. Her mornings began with chakra exercises under Hiruzen's supervision, balancing leaves, climbing trees, walking on water. Her movements grew smoother, her chakra flow stronger. Under Baiwako's guidance, she honed her sensory abilities in the forests surrounding Konoha. Blindfolded, she learned to track the smallest animal movements, to detect scents and sounds hidden beneath nature's noise. "Feel the tremors beneath your feet," Baiwako would whisper. "Every heartbeat in this forest tells a story." The training was grueling, but Naruko never gave up. Her once clumsy control had sharpened into precision. One afternoon, Baiwako tested her progress. In a secluded clearing, she hid tiny bells throughout the woods. "Find them," she said simply. Naruko closed her eyes, stretched her senses outward, and smiled faintly as she pinpointed each one by sound and chakra resonance. Baiwako nodded, proud. Meanwhile, Hiruzen expanded her physical training. He taught her basic taijutsu and the art of focusing chakra into her strikes. "Power isn't only in ninjutsu," he reminded her. "It's in every breath, every motion." Then one day, during a sparring session, something extraordinary happened. Pressed to her limit, Naruko felt chakra surge violently inside her. In an instant, golden chains burst from her back, wrapping around Hiruzen's staff and yanking it from his grasp. He blinked, stunned, before breaking into a proud smile. Naruko stood frozen, panting, and then slowly smiled too. She finally understood. She wasn't powerless anymore. "Naruko, those are," he began, but his words faded midway. "Chakra chains," Naruko murmured, her voice tinged with awe. Hiruzen nodded thoughtfully. "Indeed. A rare and potent technique. Mastering them will require extraordinary chakra control. You'll need special training for that." 2 years of relentless practice had completely reshaped Naruko. The terrified girl who once ran from angry villagers had vanished, replaced by a confident, sharp-minded Kunoichi with precise chakra control and an iron will. Her chakra chains now moved like living extensions of herself. She was ready to face the next phase of her journey. Satisfied with her progress, Hiruzen and Baiwako agreed that Naruko's time had come to join the ninja academy. Yet, her skills were already far beyond that level. Hiruzen quietly arranged for her to graduate immediately, a controversial move, but one few dared to challenge given her abilities and his authority. When the day of her admission came, Naruko stood among the other students, taller and calmer than the rest. Her long blonde hair was tied back neatly, and her dark training clothes stood in sharp contrast to the bright attire of the others. "Naruko Uzumaki Namikaze," Uruka-sensei called, a note of curiosity in his tone. "For your graduation test, please perform the transformation, clone, and substitution techniques." Naruko nodded once and performed the hand seals in smooth succession. Each jutsu appeared flawlessly executed, her transformation immaculate, her clones tangible, her substitution seamless. A wave of astonishment swept through the classroom. "Impressive," Uruka said, visibly surprised. "You've passed without issue." Hiruzen stepped forward, a proud smile forming. "Naruko, you'll join a special team. Your partners will be Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Shisui." Itachi and Shisui stood nearby, their presence commanding attention even at their young age. Itachi's quiet intensity and Shisui's calm confidence had already earned them a near-mythical reputation among their peers. Uruka blinked in confusion. "Their skill levels are far above normal. Are you sure this is the right match, Lord Hawkage?" "It is," Hiruzen said firmly. "Each of them will bring out the best in the others. They'll grow stronger together." The trio was taken to a secluded training field where Hiruzen addressed them with gravity. "You will form Team 7. Your assignments will differ from standard genin missions. Itachi, you'll refine your Sharingan and tactical sense. Shisui, your speed and genjutsu will be crucial. Naruko, you will continue honing your sensory and chakra abilities. Learn to depend on each other." Itachi studied Naruko closely. "Your chakra feels controlled yet immense," he said quietly. But there's something deeper. Shisui nodded thoughtfully. Yes, a hidden strength within you, something not yet fully awakened. Naruko simply smiled faintly. Maybe so, time will tell. From that day, their training began in earnest. Itachi led drills focused on precision and coordination. Shisui's sessions emphasized agility and illusion. Naruko spent hours mastering her sensory reach and perfecting her chakra chains in isolation. Slowly, their synergy became undeniable. Itachi's strategy, Shisui's speed, and Naruko's perception forming an unbreakable triad. They learned to trust, adapt, and protect one another. Itachi's calm balance steadied Shisui's lighthearted energy, while Naruko's quiet resolve grounded them both. Together, they became more than a team, they became a force. Months passed, and their coordination grew flawless. Seeing their progress, Hiruzen decided it was time for them to have a permanent instructor, someone capable of shaping their raw potential. When the team gathered one morning, Hiruzen arrived with a serene smile. "Team 7, he said, "I've chosen your sensei, someone who understands your strengths on a personal level." A woman stepped forward, graceful, dark-haired, her aura both gentle and commanding. Uchiha Mikoto, Itachi's mother, Shisui's aunt, and distantly related to Naruko herself. "I am Uchiha Mikoto," she said warmly. "From now on, I'll be your instructor." Itachi and Shisui bowed with deep respect, recognizing her prowess. Naruko, surprised but curious, followed suit. "Mikoto," Hiruzen added, "you know the challenges this team faces. Guide them well." "I will," Mikoto replied firmly, her gaze softening on Naruko. Unlike Hiruzen's structured methods, Mikoto's training emphasized real-world experience. She threw them into unpredictable situations, forcing teamwork and adaptability. "A mission never goes as planned," she explained. "Learn to read the moment and trust each other completely." Naruko's sensory abilities became essential for detecting traps and opponents. Itachi led with strategy, while Shisui's speed tied everything together. Mikoto also taught Naruko to use her chakra chains defensively and creatively, snaring foes, forming barriers, even rescuing allies. But Mikoto didn't just train their bodies, she nurtured their hearts. She saw the burdens each of them carried and created a space for them to open up. Around evening campfires, she spoke of her past, of family and friendship, reminding them that even shinobi deserved warmth and joy. "You are more than weapons," she told them softly. "Never forget that you are human too." Her kindness touched each of them deeply. Naruko, who had known only loneliness, felt something she hadn't before: belonging. Itachi saw in his mother a guiding light, while Shisui found comfort in her compassion. Under Mikoto's guidance, Team 7 blossomed into a tightly knit unit, a family forged through trust and hardship. As months rolled by, Naruko's bond with her teammates grew stronger than ever. The emptiness she once felt began to fade, replaced by unity and purpose. One afternoon, after a long day of sparring, Naruko went to see Hiruzen. "Grandfather," she began quietly, "I trust them, Itachi, Shisui, and Mikoto-sensei." Hiruzen looked up with calm curiosity. "Trust them with what, Naruko?" "With the truth," she said softly, "about the Kyuubi and me." Hiruzen regarded her carefully. "This is no small matter. Once you reveal it, you cannot take it back." "Are you sure?" Naruko nodded resolutely. "Yes, they've earned it." A faint smile touched the old Hokage's lips. "Then do as you feel is right, but choose your moment carefully." That evening, beneath the fading glow of the sunset, Naruko gathered her team in their training field. The wind was gentle, the air thick with anticipation. "There's something I need to tell you," she said, her voice steady but low. "Something about who I really am and the power inside me." Naruko recounted everything: the night the mob attacked her, her narrow escape to the Namikaze estate, the Kyuubi's sudden appearance within her mindscape, and the strange gifts it left her with. Mastery over gravity, heightened senses, and the awakening of her chakra chains. She spoke of the beast's weary tone, its quiet sorrow, and its plea for her to grow stronger. Itachi, Shisui, and Mikoto listened in complete silence, their faces reflecting astonishment, empathy, and concern. Itachi's sharp, composed expression softened in surprise. Shisui's kind eyes were filled with sympathy, while Mikoto's gaze held both compassion and understanding for the pain Naruko had endured. "Gravity manipulation?" Itachi asked, voice low and thoughtful. "That's an extraordinarily rare and formidable gift. And the chakra chains, Shisui added, wonder flickering in his tone. I've heard only legends about them. Mikoto gently placed her hand on Naruko's shoulder. Naruko, she said softly, you've carried this alone for far too long. You're among people who care now. You're not alone anymore. A surge of relief washed through Naruko. For the first time, she felt the weight on her heart light. She had revealed her greatest secret, her deepest fear. And instead of rejection, she was met with warmth and acceptance. We'll train together, Itachi said with quiet determination. We'll help you harness your powers properly and use them to protect others. And we'll keep your secret safe, Shisui promised, his tone unwavering. No one will ever harm you. Mikoto nodded firmly. Together, she said, her voice filled with resolve, we'll face anything that comes our way. The connection between Team 7 deepened that day, no longer just comrades, but something stronger. They were bound by loyalty, trust, and a shared resolve that went beyond duty. They were family. With their unity sealed and Naruko's secret out in the open, they were ready to take on their first official mission. Hiruzen, mindful of their skill level, selected one that would challenge them without putting them in unnecessary danger. Team 7, the Hawkage declared from behind his desk, your first mission will be a C-rank escort task. You'll be accompanying a merchant, Hana, and her son, Ho, to Sunagakure. They carry valuable cargo and require safe passage through the land of wind. He passed a scroll and map to Mikoto. Be cautious. That region is unpredictable, bandits roam freely. At the village gates, Hana, a weary yet kind-faced woman, and her son Ho, a quiet, curious boy, waited for them. She bowed gratefully. Thank you for accepting our request, she said, relief in her voice. We've heard rumors of thieves and sandstorms. I'm thankful for your help. Mikoto gave a short nod. Your safety is our responsibility. Team 7, let's move out. The start of their journey was calm. Naruko's sharpened senses made her their early warning system, detecting threats long before they drew near. Itachi mapped strategies and alternate routes, while Shisui scouted ahead, his agility ensuring they avoided danger. Ho slowly grew more comfortable around them, curiosity replacing his shyness. He asked endless questions about their jutsu and abilities, wide-eyed with wonder. Naruko, though cautious at first, found herself smiling at his enthusiasm, a brief but comforting glimpse of normal life. Crossing the land of wind proved difficult. The desert sun burned, the storms bit into their skin, and the sands shifted endlessly. But Team 7 pressed on, moving as one, their teamwork seamless. On the third day, Naruko's senses caught something, faint tremors and unfamiliar scents in the north. Mikoto-sensei, she warned quietly, bandits heading this way. Mikoto's eyes hardened. Positions everyone. Itachi, coordinate tactics. Shisui, take the western flank. Naruko, support from range and keep track of the clients. Protect Hana and Ho at all costs. Moments later, a dozen bandits appeared, weapons glinting under the sun. They lunged for Hana's goods, but Itachi's calm commands guided the team's counterattack perfectly. Shisui moved like lightning, striking before the bandits even registered his presence. Naruko's chakra chains lashed out, capturing multiple enemies while her sensory ability tracked every movement. Overwhelmed by the young shinobi's coordination, the bandits soon fell into disarray. When one of them attempted to seize Ho, Naruko reacted instinctively, manipulating gravity to slam him violently into the sand, knocking him out instantly. Mikoto noted Naruko's control with a subtle, approving nod. She was learning fast. After the skirmish, the group resumed their trek. Hana expressed heartfelt gratitude, while Ho excitedly retold the fight to his mother, admiration shining in his eyes. They reached Sunagakure safely. The Kazekage, impressed with their professionalism, met them personally. You've performed admirably, he said, voice full of respect. Your village is in good hands. Their return trip began quietly, until Mikoto's instincts picked up a shift in the air. Naruko confirmed it. Several chakra signatures were closing in on them. Team 7, Mikoto said in a low voice, we're being followed. Stay sharp. From the shadows of the dunes, masked shinobi emerged, rogue ninjas, their chakra volatile and murderous. These weren't bandits. They're after the Kazekige's cargo, Mikoto deduced grimly. Word must have spread. The attackers moved with deadly coordination, hurling jutsu to overwhelm them. Mikoto faced their leader, a wind-style expert. Itachi and Shisui took on the rest, their Sharingan and speed keeping them alive. Naruto, anchoring the formation, used her sensory range and chains to intercept threats before they could close in. The desert erupted with clashing chakra and steel. Itachi's Sharingan tracked every motion with surgical precision, predicting and countering effortlessly. Shisui darted through the fray like a phantom, striking before his enemies could react. Naruto's golden chains glowed with power, binding and disabling foes across the battlefield. But the enemy was skilled. Two slipped through Itachi and Shisui's defenses, lunging for Naruto. One hurled a poisoned kunai. She deflected it using gravity control, but the attacker was too close. Acting on instinct, she unleashed her chains, impaling the rogue ninja through the chest. Meanwhile, Shisui and Itachi were each locked in brutal duels. Shisui's speed created illusions that left his opponent open to a fatal strike. Itachi's blade met his foes with perfect precision, until he ended the fight with a swift cut to the throat. When the battle ended, silence hung heavy in the air. The wind carried the scent of blood. Naruto stared at her glowing chains, trembling. She had killed for the first time. Itachi and Shisui, faces grim, stood beside her. They too bore the same burden. Mikoto approached, eyes soft but serious. "This wasn't a sparring session," she said gently. "This was war. You did what was necessary to survive." Naruto's voice quivered. I took a life." Mikoto's hand rested on her shoulder. "You protected your comrades, never forget that." Itachi's quiet voice followed. "We all did," Shisui nodded solemnly. "And we'll bear this together." The weight of what they'd done settled over them, the unshakable truth of what it meant to be shinobi. They had crossed an irreversible line, but they had also proven their resolve and loyalty to one another. The journey home was somber. The only sound was the crunch of sand beneath their boots. They were no longer naive children. They were warriors now, bonded by blood, battle, and the shared burden of survival. A month slipped by, and the weight of their first kill settled heavily on Team 7's shoulders, grounding them in the grim reality of what being a shinobi truly meant. Under Mikoto's steady leadership, they trained relentlessly, sharpening both skill and trust until their teamwork felt effortless. Then came the next assignment, one with a sense of danger none of them could ignore. "Team 7, Hiruzen announced in the Hawkage's office, his tone solemn and commanding. "A Chunin has turned traitor. He's taken an ancient relic, an artifact of immense power. It must be recovered before disaster strikes." The mission was marked A rank, a clear escalation from their last escort duty. The rogue shinobi, Kenzo, was clever and dangerous, known for his expertise in Earth-style techniques. Understanding the severity, Mikoto took charge without hesitation. They followed Kenzo's trail through thick forests and steep, jagged passes. Naruto's sensory prowess guided them unerringly, each chakra signature leading closer until they cornered him in a dark cavern. The stolen artifact pulsed faintly in his hands, radiating ominous light. Kenzo fought like a cornered beast. He conjured towering golems and split the ground with brutal precision. Team 7 moved as one, flawless in their coordination, countering every strike. Itachi's Sharingan foresaw each of Kenzo's tactics, directing the team's counters. Shisui's movements blurred with speed, striking and vanishing in an instant. Naruto's chakra chains seized the golems, her gravity control disrupting Kenzo's footing. Still, desperation made him dangerous. A massive shockwave from his jutsu cracked the earth wide, threatening to swallow them whole. Acting instantly, Mikoto used her earth release to seal the rift, though the effort left her exposed. Seeing his opening, Kenzo lunged with a kunai aimed at Mikoto's heart, only for Naruto's chains to pierce through his chest, ending him before he could strike. The artifact tumbled from his grasp as he fell lifeless to the ground. Breathing hard, Mikoto retrieved the relic, but the moment her fingers touched it, the cavern rumbled. The air shimmered, and blinding light surged from the artifact. In an instant, Team 7 was swallowed by a storm of colors and sound, the world twisting around them. When the chaos subsided, they were no longer in the cavern. The ground beneath them was unfamiliar, and the sky above glowed a strange violet hue. Even the trees pulsed faintly with green light. But the most shocking revelation was their own bodies. Shisui blinked, his voice oddly high. "Wait, what's going on?" He looked down and froze, his hands slender, his body unmistakably feminine. Naruto, now speaking with a deep masculine voice, stared into a shimmering pool. My face, my voice, this can't be real. Itachi touched his now feminine features, disbelief flooding his eyes. Our genders, they've been switched. Mikoto, her voice now low and resonant, examined her transformed hands. The artifact must have warped reality itself, she reasoned grimly. It didn't just transport us, it changed us. The realization hit like a wave. They were stranded in another world, transformed, disoriented, and without the artifact that had caused it all. But shinobi instincts took over quickly. First priority, Mikoto ordered, her new voice carrying authority, is to find shelter and gather information. We don't know what creatures inhabit this world. They moved carefully through the alien wilderness. The bioluminescent forest glowed eerily, filled with creatures bearing shimmering scales and too many limbs. Strange cries echoed through the misty air as they pressed on. After hours of searching, they discovered a ruined structure, a crumbling stone building that offered protection. Inside were relics of a lost civilization, indecipherable runes carved into the walls and strange metallic tools strewn across the floor. This place is ancient, Itachi observed softly, studying an engraved tablet. These markings are unlike any script from our world. Naruto, still adjusting to his deeper tone, examined a sleek alien device. Whatever this is, it's far beyond our technology. Shisui noticed faint energy emanating from a wall. There's something hidden here. Working together, they uncovered a concealed chamber. Within glowed a holographic map depicting a vast continent dotted with glowing cities. At its center stood a massive citadel surrounded by a vortex of energy. That must be where the artifact ended up, Mikoto deduced. The vortex, it's the same energy that brought us here. But getting there, Shisui muttered, we don't even know this world's rules. Mikoto's gaze hardened. Then we'll learn. We adapt, that's what shinobi do. Days passed as they studied the alien realm's inhabitants, humanoid beings with luminous eyes and iridescent skin. Their society was built on advanced technology, floating vehicles, energy-based weapons, and towering cities. They learned the citadel was called Ithilgard, ruled by a mysterious council known as the Luminary Elders. The vortex was a dimensional nexus, connecting multiple worlds. But rebellion brewed beneath the surface, led by a figure named Kalin, who sought to overthrow the elders for hoarding power and knowledge. Seeing opportunity amid the unrest, Mikoto decided to ally with the rebels. They presented themselves as outsiders seeking the artifact to return home. Kalin, intrigued and impressed by their skill, agreed to assist. The elders are no ordinary rulers, Kalin warned. They command forces beyond comprehension, but will fight for freedom and truth. With the rebellion as their cover, Team 7 began planning their infiltration of Ithilgard. Their altered appearances helped them blend in, and their shinobi talents made them indispensable. A week of espionage followed, mapping defenses, disabling barriers, and decoding alien systems. The elders resided in the citadel's core, guarded by psychic sentinels and mechanical constructs. The assault that followed tested every ounce of their training. The elders attacked through mind and machine, their collective consciousness bombarding the intruders. Itachi's sharing encountered the psychic invasion, turning illusions back upon them. Shisui, faster than sight, tore through robotic defenses. Naruto used gravity manipulation to distort the battlefield, throwing the elders off balance. Mikoto reshaped the ground beneath them, crushing barriers with amplified Earth-style jutsu, while the rebels unleashed volleys of energy fire. In the end, the combined might of shinobi precision and rebel determination shattered the elders' unity. Their psychic network broke apart, and their control over Ithilgard collapsed. Though not slain, the elders were defeated, stripped of power and authority. Team 7 had survived the impossible. But as they looked out over the alien skyline, one truth remained. Their journey home had only just begun. With the elders defeated, Team 7 discovered the stolen artifact resting in the citadel's central chamber, radiating an eerie, pulsating light that felt almost alive. The moment Mikoto's fingers brushed against it, the room flickered, and a spiraling vortex of blinding light burst forth once again. They were instantly swept into the chaotic storm of energy, their bodies spinning weightlessly as they were pulled through a dimensional rift. When the brightness faded, they were standing in a familiar forest, the alien surroundings replaced by the comforting greenery of their homeland. And just as their bodies had once been altered, they now reverted back to normal. Naruko's voice deepened, Itachi's grew smooth again, Shisui's tone dropped, and Mikoto's returned to its usual resonance. They exchanged glances, a collective exhale of relief escaping them. "We made it back," Shisui said softly, disbelief in his tone. "And the artifact is secure," Mikoto added, her voice steady and authoritative. Without wasting a moment, their instincts as shinobi took over. They raced through the forest, alert and focused, eager to deliver the artifact and complete their assignment. Soon, they arrived at the Hawkage Tower, expressions serious but spirits unwavering. Entering Hiruzen's office, Mikoto stepped forward, the glowing artifact held firmly in her grasp. "Hawkage-sama," she began, her tone calm yet resolute. "We have successfully retrieved the artifact." Hiruzen's eyes widened in shock and relief. "You've done it," he breathed, almost in awe. "But your report, it shows you've been missing for over a week." Mikoto nodded solemnly. "We were taken to another realm entirely, Hawkage-sama, a dimension far beyond human comprehension." She detailed their journey, recounting the alien world, their alliance with the local rebels, their confrontation with the luminary elders, and their recovery of the artifact. Hiruzen listened in silence, his face darkening as she spoke. "This object," he finally said gravely, "possesses power beyond what we imagined. It must be contained and secured at once." He took the artifact from her with care, concern evident in his expression. Then his gaze softened. "You have endured trials few could survive and emerged victorious. You've proven yourselves to be extraordinary shinobi. Konoha owes you its gratitude." Team 7 stood tall, mission complete, their unity tempered through battle and hardship. They had faced the impossible, conquered the unknown, and returned with their loyalty intact. A month later, the New Year festival brought color and joy to Konoha. Lanterns lit the streets, the scent of festival food filled the air, and laughter echoed through the village. Knowing the young shinobi needed rest after their ordeal, Hiruzen proposed a gathering for several genin teams, an opportunity to relax, share experiences, and celebrate together. Team 7 agreed without hesitation. They met at a clearing bathed in lantern light, where two other teams soon joined them. Team 2, led by Meraki Uchiha, and Team 3, led by Tadou Uchiha. Team 2 consisted of Yugao Yuzuki, Gekko Hayate, and Amoni Leonardo. Yugao's silent focus and deadly swordsmanship made her a warrior to be reckoned with. Gekko, quiet yet precise, excelled in stealth and assassination. Amoni, kind-hearted and skilled in both medical ninjutsu and kenjutsu, offered vital support. Team 3 included Kurenai Yuhai, Asuma Sarutobi, and Enko Mitarashi. Kurenai's mastery of genjutsu and sharp intellect made her a tactician of note. Asuma, with his easygoing manner and devastating wind-style attacks, was a powerhouse. Enko's wild energy and snake-based summoning made her unpredictable and fierce. Meraki Uchiha, a veteran in his 50s, commanded respect with his calm presence and mastery of kenjutsu and fire-style techniques. Tadou Uchiha, also in his 50s, carried the air of a healer and strategist, his warmth concealing a sharp and analytical mind. At first, tension lingered between the groups, different personalities clashing, uncertainty in the air. But as the night wore on, the cheerful chaos of the festival broke the ice. Naruko, his deeper tone now natural, found herself intrigued by Yugao's calm strength, a mutual understanding forming between them. Itachi's composed nature drew him into quiet conversation with Kurenai, their shared intelligence creating an easy rapport. Shisui's quick wit and charm had Gekko laughing in no time. Mikoto, her commanding voice carrying weight, shared wisdom from her own youth as a kunoichi, while Meraki and Tadou added their insights, the former on discipline and swordsmanship, the latter on medical training and teamwork. Laughter soon filled the clearing. They swapped stories of missions, setbacks, and victories. Enko led impromptu games, her energy infectious. Asuma added jokes and lighthearted banter. Amoni, ever thoughtful, ensured everyone felt welcome. The New Year festival became more than just a celebration. It was a night of connection. Beneath the fireworks and glowing lanterns, they were more than soldiers. They were comrades, growing together as people. When the evening ended, they parted ways with smiles and promises to meet again. Their shared memories became the foundation of lasting friendships and trust. As the year passed, those bonds only deepened. The genin trained rigorously, sharpening their abilities and preparing for whatever awaited them. Then, a mission arrived that would test their mettle like never before. "Genin," Hiruzen addressed them gravely in his office, "you've been chosen for an A-rank mission. A Jonin named Yuvep Kozo has betrayed the village. He's highly dangerous, proficient in earth, fire, and wind styles, and skilled in both taijutsu and kenjutsu. He's been sighted near the land of rivers. Your task is to capture or, if necessary, eliminate him." The assignment was a great responsibility, a sign of the faith placed in them. Mikoto, Meraki, and Tadu acknowledged with solemn nods. The younger shinobi exchanged determined looks, ready for what lay ahead. They departed for the land of rivers, a maze of streams and forests. Naruko's heightened senses proved invaluable, helping them track Yuvep Kozo's movements precisely. Working seamlessly, they approached their target. They found him in a secluded clearing, his expression fierce and unrepentant. He fought with the strength of a seasoned warrior, unleashing waves of elemental fury that shook the ground. The battle erupted into chaos, jutsu clashing, steel ringing, and chakra lighting up the field. Mikoto, Meraki, and Tadu faced him head-on, their combined experience keeping him pressured. The genin supported them expertly, their teamwork flawless. Itachi used his Sharingan to predict movements, guiding their counterattacks. Shisui's speed disoriented the enemy with relentless strikes. Naruko's chakra chains restrained Yuvep's attacks, shifting the tide. Yugao's blade matched his with precision, aiding Mikoto. Gecko struck from the shadows, forcing openings. Kurenai's illusions threw Yuvep off balance, clouding his perception. Asuma's wind-enhanced jutsu empowered Tadu's flames, while Anko's summons added ferocity. Amoni healed and reinforced the team tirelessly, keeping them in the fight. But the traitor unleashed one final, desperate jutsu, a strange, pulsating energy that warped the air around them. The blast hit with immense force. Naruko, caught off guard, felt burning pain surge through her body. In an instant, Amoni shoved her aside, taking the brunt of the attack. When the light faded, silence filled the clearing. Amoni lay motionless, then her body began to change. Gasps echoed as her features softened, her form altering before their eyes. Amoni, once a boy, now lay before them as a girl, her voice weak, but unmistakably different when she whispered, "I'm still here." The group was left speechless, their minds spinning from the sheer absurdity of what had just happened. Yuvep Kozo, his face twisted with madness, broke into a chilling laugh. "Behold my gender shift technique. It changes the very essence of your being." The shock quickly morphed into fury. Mikoto's eyes burned with determination as she unleashed a powerful fire-style jutsu, her rage driven by the urge to protect her comrades. The other shinobi, invigorated by her resolve, charged forward with renewed focus. Overwhelmed by their coordinated attacks, Yuvep Kozo finally fell. His body battered and his twisted jutsu powerless to save him, he was captured at last. Their victory, however, felt hollow. The mission had succeeded, but at a heavy cost. Amoni's transformation stood as a haunting reminder of how unpredictable their world truly was. When they returned to Konoha, the weight of what had transpired hung over them. They had triumphed, yes, but none of them felt victorious. Carrying the restrained Yuvep Kozo back to the Hawkage Tower, their faces were grim. Upon seeing Amoni's changed form, Hiruzen was visibly taken aback. "What happened?" he asked, concern lacing his voice. Mikoto explained everything, the battle, the strange jutsu, and Yuvep Kozo's disturbing technique. Hiruzen listened closely, his face growing darker with every word. "Gender shift jutsu," he murmured, frowning. "I've never encountered anything like it." Yuvep Kozo, still bound, let out a strained laugh. "It is my greatest work," he croaked. "A jutsu that reshapes the very core of existence." Hiruzen ordered an immediate interrogation to uncover the technique's secrets. What they learned was grim, the jutsu was irreversible. The transformation was permanent. The revelation struck everyone hard. Amoni, now visibly altered, stared into a polished kunai, her reflection both foreign and familiar. Her teammates watched in silence, unable to find the right words. Naruko, overwhelmed by guilt, stepped forward. Amoni, I'm so sorry. If I hadn't— It's not your fault, Amoni interrupted softly, her new voice steady yet distant. You couldn't have known. But Naruko began, tears in her eyes. I made the choice, Amoni said firmly. I decided to protect you, don't carry my burden. Despite Amoni's reassurance, Naruko's guilt lingered. The entire team felt the emotional toll, each struggling with the outcome. Hiruzen spoke at last, his tone gentle yet commanding. This situation is tragic, but we cannot dwell on the past. We must move forward. He turned to Amoni. You have shown courage beyond measure. You remain a shinobi of Konoha. We will help you adapt. You will not face this alone. Then to the rest of the group, he said, this event reminds us that the world can be cruel and unpredictable. We must endure, adapt, and persevere. The team nodded, their emotions raw but united by shared hardship. In the following days, Amoni slowly adjusted, supported by her comrades. Though her path was now different, her determination never wavered. Her teammates rallied around her, their friendship stronger than ever. They trained together, pushing past their fears and doubts, understanding that no matter how strange the world became, they could rely on one another. A week after the mission, Teams 7, 2, and 3, along with their sensei, were summoned to the Hokkage's office. Hiruzen's face was grave. A traitor, Jonin Katero, has surfaced, a master swordsman and lightning-style specialist. He is extremely dangerous. Your mission is to eliminate him. The team accepted without hesitation. This was their chance to prove their strength and unity once more. They tracked Katero to a narrow mountain pass surrounded by steep cliffs. The air crackled with lightning as the traitor awaited them, his eyes cold and confident. The battle erupted in a storm of steel and chakra. Mikoto, Meraki, and Tadu led the front line, their years of experience keeping Katero pinned. The genin worked in perfect coordination, supporting their mentors with sharp precision. Itachi's sharing and analyzed every movement, predicting Katero's strikes. Shisui blurred across the battlefield, attacking from every angle. Naruko's chakra chains disrupted Katero's techniques, while Yugao countered his blade with flawless kenjutsu. Gekko's stealth attacks created openings, Kurenai's genjutsu disoriented the enemy, and Asuma's wind-style blasts amplified Tadu's fire-based assaults. Anko's summons surged forward, pushing Katero to the brink. Amoni provided medical support, healing wounds mid-battle, her focus unshaken despite the chaos. But Katero wasn't finished. With a desperate roar, he unleashed a powerful combination of wind and lightning, creating a blinding shockwave that tore through their defenses. The blast sent the team reeling, scattering them across the rocky terrain. Using the chaos to his advantage, Katero moved with terrifying speed, striking each shinobi in turn, disarming weapons, shattering armor, and forcing them onto the defensive. His attacks weren't meant to kill, they were meant to humiliate, to prove dominance. The team's shock turned to rage. Mikoto's eyes blazed as she unleashed a massive fire-style technique, her fury igniting the battlefield. The others joined in, coordinated, relentless, and united by sheer determination. Despite his skill, Katero couldn't withstand their combined might. Blow after blow landed until, finally, he fell defeated, bound, and broken. Their victory, however, felt bitter. The memory of their near defeat and humiliation hung in the air like smoke. As they carried Katero back to Konoha, silence followed them, a silence heavy with exhaustion and reflection. When Hiruzen received their report, his expression hardened. What Katero did was unacceptable, he said, his voice filled with quiet anger. His actions were not only rebellion but disgrace. Such cruelty has no place among shinobi. He ordered a full investigation to uncover Katero's motives and to prevent similar betrayals in the future. The Hokage also reminded everyone that even within their own ranks, darkness could take root. The team left the tower in silence, each member changed by what they had seen. Their courage had been tested, their unity had saved them. They had faced madness and cruelty, but they had endured. And though scars remained, both visible and unseen, one truth bound them stronger than ever: they were shinobi of Konoha. And together, they would face whatever darkness awaited next. In the days that followed, emotions ran high among the shinobi. The female ninjas, shaken to their core and their pride deeply wounded, struggled to process what had happened. They leaned on one another, finding comfort in shared pain and mutual strength. Despite her own turmoil, Mikoto became their anchor. Her calm wisdom and experience offered direction to the younger Kanoichi. She reminded them of who they were, warriors, protectors, and daughters of Konoha, urging them not to lose faith in their own power. Naruko's blazing spirit had dimmed, her confidence scarred by the humiliation she endured. Frustration and anger battled inside her as she threw herself into relentless training, desperate to regain control over her strength. Yugo, her usual quiet intensity now replaced with grim purpose, devoted herself to uncovering the reasons behind Katero's depravity, hoping to prevent such pain from ever recurring. Kurenai, once serene and composed, found herself confronting fear through her genjutsu, bending illusion and reality to reclaim her sense of balance. Anko's wild energy was subdued, her laughter replaced by determination. She turned to her summoning techniques for solace, drawing courage from the fierce creatures who answered her call. Amoni, though gentle by nature, channeled her grief into healing others. Her hands, steady and kind, found peace through tending wounds both seen and unseen. Meanwhile, the male shinobi, Itachi, Shisui, Asuma, Gecko, Meraki, and Tadu, wrestled with feelings of guilt and helplessness. They stood firmly by their comrades, vowing to protect them no matter what. Itachi, with his sharp intellect, analyzed Katero's twisted motives, seeking insight into his mind. Shisui, deeply empathetic and troubled by the cruelty he had witnessed, became a pillar of emotional support for the others. Asuma's easygoing nature hardened into resolve. He swore to stand guard over his team at all costs. Gecko, honing his stealth and precision, quietly ensured no similar threat could ever rise again. Meraki and Tadu, seasoned and wise, helped the younger shinobi navigate their pain and rediscover strength through solidarity. Out of tragedy came unity. The ordeal forged an unbreakable bond between the genin and their mentors. Though darkness had tested them, they emerged tempered, their compassion and loyalty stronger than ever. Their training resumed, fueled by determination and newfound perspective. Each of them understood now, they weren't just shinobi. They were individuals, flawed yet resilient, bound together by trust. Even after the worst of humanity, they knew they could lean on each other and protect what mattered most. Though the memory of the Katero incident lingered like a scar, Konoha moved forward in its endless rhythm of duty and renewal. Naruko, carrying quiet pain within her, felt a tug pulling her back toward the Namikaze estate, a place haunted by both warmth and rejection. After an exhausting day of training, she finally decided to visit. Standing before the familiar gates, she took a deep breath and stepped inside. Laughter greeted her, bright and innocent. Two small children came running toward her, a red-haired girl and a blonde boy. "One-chan!" they shouted joyfully as they tackled her legs with tiny arms. Natsumi and Menma, her 4-year-old siblings, clung to her tightly. The simple affection in their embrace melted away a layer of her bitterness. "Natsumi, Menma," Naruko said warmly, kneeling to hug them close. Natsumi's vivid red hair and electric blue eyes mirrored Kushina's, full of boundless energy. Menma's gentle smile and golden hair reflected Minato's calm nature. Despite everything, the twins adored Naruko. To them, she wasn't the forgotten child, she was their hero, their beloved One-chan. They listened in awe whenever she shared stories of her missions and adventures. Soon, Minato and Kushina appeared in the doorway, surprise and fondness flickering across their faces. They had never stopped loving Naruko, but raising children burdened with the Ninetales chakra had consumed nearly all their attention. "It's good to see you, Naruko," Minato said softly. Kushina's eyes glistened with guilt and love as she pulled her daughter into a hug. "You've grown so much," she murmured. Naruko returned the gesture calmly. Though the sting of neglect still lingered, she understood, even if forgiveness didn't come easily. "I'm fine," Naruko replied. "I came to see Natsumi and Menma." The twins tugged her toward their toys, eager to share everything. Minato and Kushina watched with mixed emotions, pride, regret, and curiosity. "You're a genin now, aren't you?" Minato asked. Naruko nodded. "I graduated at 7, first try." Their eyes widened in surprise. They hadn't realized just how far she'd come. "That's incredible," Kushina whispered. "Who's your team, your sensei?" "I'm teamed with Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Shisui," Naruko said. "Mikoto sensei leads us." Kushina blinked in shock. Mikoto-chan, she's your sensei. The revelation stirred deep emotions in her. Mikoto had been her closest friend growing up. Now she was shaping the daughter Kushina barely knew. The visit was bittersweet, a collision of love and unhealed wounds. Yet as Naruko watched her siblings play, laughter echoing in the courtyard, a faint spark of hope stirred within her. Maybe, just maybe, their family could mend someday. From then on, Naruko began visiting more often. The twins' boundless affection soothed her spirit. Natsumi and Menma, blissfully unaware of their family's fractures, showered her with unconditional love. Each visit overflowed with childlike excitement, games, stories, laughter. The estate, once heavy with silence, felt alive again. One sunny afternoon, while Naruko helped Natsumi stack wooden blocks, Menma tugged her sleeve. "One-chan, can you show us a jutsu?" Naruko smiled faintly. "Something simple," she promised. She performed a basic transformation jutsu, turning into a fluffy white rabbit. The twins gasped in delight, begging for more. Their joy was infectious. Watching from the doorway, Minato and Kushina shared a look, half amused, half uneasy. They knew Naruko's skills far surpassed her years. "Be gentle with them, Naruko," Kushina said softly. "I know, Ka-chan," Naruko replied, her tone warm. "Just a few harmless tricks." She shifted into a bird, then a kitten, each form earning peals of laughter. For the first time in years, the Namikaze home felt like a family again. Yet behind their smiles, Minato and Kushina felt the ache of missed years. Years when their daughter had grown strong without them. Over time, Naruko became an inseparable part of her siblings' world. She was their mentor, protector, and favorite playmate. Her stories ignited their imaginations, her strength their admiration. Natsumi adored her chakra chains, begging for demonstrations. Menma, ever gentle, soaked in her kindness, asking endless questions about her life and friends. One evening, as Naruko prepared to leave, Natsumi clung to her leg. "Please stay, One-chan," she pleaded tearfully. Naruko crouched down, brushing a hand through her hair. "I have a mission tomorrow," she said softly, "but I'll come back soon." Menma hugged her tightly. "Be safe, One-chan." "I will," Naruko promised with a small smile. As she walked away, the weight of conflicting emotions pressed on her heart. Her siblings' love was pure and healing, but the distance between her and her parents still loomed like a shadow. Naruko knew she couldn't dwell on the past forever. She had duties to fulfill, a path to follow. Yet she also knew that no matter how dark her world became, the innocent affection of Natsumi and Menma would always pull her back toward the light. A month quietly slipped by, and the Hidden Leaf Village carried on with its usual rhythm, though traces of unease still lingered from recent events. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the wise and weary third Hokage, felt the weight of years pressing down upon him. Realizing that his time as leader had run its course, he chose to step aside and let a new generation take command. A grand ceremony was arranged, and the villagers gathered in excitement to witness this turning point in Konoha's history. Standing before them, Hiruzen's face bore the marks of age and wisdom, his expression solemn yet peaceful. His voice, strong and sincere, carried through the crowd as he made his announcement. "My beloved Konoha," he began, his tone filled with emotion, "I have protected and guided you for many years, but the time has come for a new protector to lead you forward." He extended his hand toward Minato Namikaze, the man whose golden hair gleamed under the sun, his presence radiating calm power and kindness. "From this day forth, I entrust the title of fourth Hokage to Minato Namikaze. May he guide our home with courage, wisdom, and unwavering faith." The people erupted in cheers, the air filled with admiration and hope. Minato bowed his head, accepting the Hokage's hat with a firm yet humble expression. The responsibility in his eyes spoke louder than words. Later that evening, in the quiet of the Hokage's office, Hiruzen and Minato shared a private conversation. Hiruzen's tone was serious, the atmosphere heavy with unspoken warnings. "Minato," he began, "there are matters of great importance that you must understand before you take full command." His eyes darkened slightly. "The council elders, Danzo Shimura, Hamura Mitokado, and Koharu Udatane, do not always act in harmony with the village's best interests. Danzo in particular, he is a man to be wary of." He revealed the existence of a covert faction known as Root, led by Danzo himself, an underground network of shinobi molded through brutal discipline and unquestioning loyalty. Root operates beyond the Hokage's control. Their methods are ruthless. Be careful, Minato. Their influence runs deep, and their choices often bring dangerous consequences. Hiruzen's tone hardened. One more thing, keep your children, especially Naruto, far from Danzo. He sees gifted shinobi as tools, not people. He won't hesitate to use them if it serves his purpose. Minato nodded, his features solemn. He fully understood the gravity of the warning, and the burden of leadership began to sink in. I understand, Lord Third, he replied firmly. I'll stay vigilant. Hiruzen rested a reassuring hand on his successor's shoulder. You'll do well, Minato, but never forget, shadows thrive even in times of peace. Guard Konoha well. As Minato assumed his new role, those words stayed with him. He knew the peace they cherished was fragile, constantly threatened by hidden ambitions and old grudges. He vowed to shield his home and his family from the unseen dangers that loomed beyond the light. 2 quiet years passed under Minato's leadership, the village enjoying a rare calm. Yet Minato never let his guard down. Danzo's activities still concerned him. Meanwhile, the young shinobi of Teams 7, 2, and 3 grew stronger, their teamwork honed through countless missions. Now, it was time for them to face their next trial, the Chunin exams. Recognizing the value of exposure and experience, Minato decided that this year's exams would take place in Iwagakure, the village hidden in the stones. Teams 7, 2, and 3, Minato announced from behind his desk, his voice steady and confident. You are to represent Konoha in the upcoming Chunin exams held in Iwagakure. Consider this an opportunity to test your limits and bring honor to our village. The genin exchanged determined glances, excitement and nervousness mixing in their expressions. They understood how important this was, not just for rank, but for pride. Their journey was long and grueling. The rocky paths and arid air of the land of Earth stood in stark contrast to the green forests of the land of fire. As they neared Iwagakure, a heavy tension settled in the air. The Iwa shinobi greeted them coldly, their gazes sharp with lingering resentment. The wounds of the Third Shinobi World War had not yet healed, and Minato's reputation as the Yellow Flash cast a long shadow. Naruto, bearing her father's name and features, received the harshest stares. Whispered insults, Yellow Flash's daughter, Konoha demon, followed wherever she walked. Though aware of the hostility, the Konoha genin held their composure. They had been trained to face any adversity with grace and discipline. The first phase of the Chunin exams took place inside a massive, stone-walled hall. A stern Iwa Jonin stood at the front, addressing the assembled participants. This is not a mere written test, he announced coldly. It measures your intelligence, adaptability, and your ability to gather information under pressure. The questions were deliberately complex, testing more than knowledge, forcing the genin to think tactically. Naruto used her sharp senses to detect faint environmental cues, collecting information without being caught. Itachi calmly deciphered the hidden intent behind each question, while Shisui's keen eyes scanned the room for any useful insights. Yugao maintained laser-like focus. Gekko used his stealth to observe unnoticed. Kurenai employed subtle genjutsu to assist her allies. Asuma, often underestimated, revealed a quick intellect, while Anko's resourcefulness surprised even her peers. Amoni, with her medic nin expertise, quietly analyzed physiological cues to deduce hidden answers. Their mentors, Mikoto, Meraki, and Tadu, watched with satisfaction, proud of how far their students had come. When the exam concluded, the papers were collected, and the Konoha teams were escorted to separate quarters, bare and unwelcoming, a reminder that they were still outsiders. They don't want us here, Asuma muttered under his breath. Especially Naruto, Kurenai replied softly. They despise what her father did to them. Mikoto's tone turned firm. All the more reason to keep your guard up. They're looking for an excuse to undermine us. Naruto clenched her fists, fire blazing in her eyes. Then we'll show them who we are. We'll prove Konoha's strength. The next morning, results were announced before a tense audience. First place, team from Kumigakure, the proctor declared. Cheers erupted from the Kumo delegation. Second place, Team 2 from Konohagakure. Murmurs of surprise rippled through the crowd, acknowledging their impressive skill. Third place, Team 7 from Konohagakure. The Iwa spectators exchanged grudging nods, respect evident despite their bitterness. Fifth place, Team 3 from Konohagakure. After the announcement, the proctor outlined the second phase, the survival stage. The genin would enter Iwagakure's infamous Terrain of Death, a region teeming with danger. Their task: to locate and retrieve a scroll labeled Hell within 5 days. There are only 6 scrolls, the proctor said, his grin faintly cruel. Only 6 teams will advance. Remember, if even one of you falls, your team is finished. The air grew heavy as the competitors absorbed the reality of the challenge. The trials ahead would test not just their skills, but their will to survive. As the genin prepared to step into the terrain of death, Mikoto, Meraki, and Tadu gathered their teams for one last briefing. This stage will push your survival instincts, test your teamwork, and challenge your determination, Mikoto said, her tone firm and unwavering. Stay alert, trust your judgment, and watch each other's backs. The terrain of death spares no one, Meraki added, his voice edged with caution. Expect the unexpected. And don't forget, Tadu said, his voice calm yet serious, no scroll is worth risking your life. Take care of yourselves first. The genin nodded, their faces set with resolve. They stepped into the desolate expanse, every sense heightened, every nerve alert. The terrain itself was unforgiving, jagged rocks, barren cliffs, and treacherous quicksand stretched as far as the eye could see. The air reeked of decay, broken only by the occasional predator's eerie howl. Team 7, 2, and 3 split up, each choosing a path suited to their strengths. Team 7, guided by Naruto's heightened senses, took a route that allowed them to detect dangers early. Team 2, masters of stealth and agility, chose a path that let them remain unseen. Team 3, relying on sheer strength and tactical coordination, charged head-on, trusting their teamwork to overcome whatever lay ahead. Moving quietly, Team 2 ran into a Kirigakure squad. The masked Kiri Shinobi struck without warning, their movements precise and deadly. The clash was swift and brutal. Yugo, her kenjutsu flawless, confronted the enemy leader, a skilled swordsman. Gecko, a shadow in motion, struck from hidden angles, creating openings for his teammates. Amoni, with his vital medic nin expertise, provided crucial support, patching wounds as fast as they came. But the Kiri team pressed relentlessly. Seeing a lethal strike aimed at Yugo, Amoni leapt in front, taking the blow. A powerful water-style jutsu pierced his chest, killing him instantly. Grief and rage twisted Yugo and Gecko's faces as they unleashed a furious counterattack. The Kiri team fell, defeated, but victory felt hollow. With Amoni dead, Team 2 was automatically disqualified. Yugo and Gecko, hearts heavy, carried his body out of the terrain of death, their Chunin dreams shattered. Meanwhile, Team 3 encountered Kumigakure Shinobi, whose raw strength and powerful jutsu threatened to overwhelm. Kurenai's genjutsu sowed illusions and disorientation. Asuma's wind-style attacks amplified his strikes, and Anko's summoned creatures crushed the enemy's defenses. Through coordinated effort honed over years, Team 3 emerged victorious. Team 7 then faced the same Kiri team that had killed Amoni. The masked assassins moved with deadly precision. Naruto's gravity chains disrupted their attacks, controlling the battlefield. Itachi's Sharingan anticipated every move, directing counterattacks, while Shisui's speed left the enemy disoriented. Team 7's seamless coordination overwhelmed their opponents, securing a decisive win. After 5 grueling days, only 6 teams remained, 3 from Iwagakure, 1 from Kumigakure, and 2 from Konohagakure, Team 7 and Team 3. They emerged battered, bruised, but unbroken. The Iwa proctor, expression grim, announced the survivors. 6 teams have passed the survival stage. They advance to the final stage of the Chunin exams. The genin, exhausted but determined, straightened, their eyes burning with resolve. They had faced death, endured every trial, and proven their worth. They were true shinobi. The next day, the arena buzzed with anticipation for the final stage. The air crackled with tension as Minato, Kushina, Natsumi, and Menma arrived. Minato's composed gaze searched for his daughter. Kushina's hand squeezed his with pride and concern, while Natsumi and Menma bounced with excitement, eager to see their one-chan in action. The Iwa proctor announced the first match, a 3-way battle between Naruto from Konoha and Tom and Data from Kumigakure. Silence fell as Naruto stepped forward, calm and focused. Tom and Data, known for their lightning-style kenjutsu, approached with wary respect. The signal sounded, and they struck in coordinated unison, lightning crackling around them. Yet Naruto remained steady. Her gravity manipulation formed an invisible barrier, nullifying their attacks. No matter how they maneuvered, every strike was deflected, absorbed, or thrown back. With a subtle motion, Naruto sent a wave of force, sending both opponents crashing to the ground. Victory was hers, effortless and awe-inspiring. From the cage box, Minato and Kushina watched, stunned. They had known Naruto's strength, but seeing her gravity control in action was breathtaking. Incredible, Minato breathed, awe in his voice. Kushina blinked, incredulous. Gravity style, he shook his head, smiling. Hiruzen said she would surprise us, he was right. Meanwhile, Natsumi and Menma cheered wildly. That's our one-chan, Natsumi shouted. She's amazing. Yeah, she's the strongest, Menma added, eyes sparkling with admiration. The first match made it clear, Naruto, eldest daughter of the Yellow Flash, was a force unmatched. The Chunin exams were just beginning. The Iwa proctor then announced the second match, Roy, Jackum, and Kura, all from Iwagakure. The trio entered, faces hard, bodies built for raw power. Roy's eyes burned with fire-style mastery, while Jackum and Kura exuded quiet confidence, ready to unleash earth-style jutsu. The battle erupted in elemental fury. Jackum and Kura's synchronized earth jutsu created golems and fissures, but Roy countered with fire, melting the rocks and forcing his opponents back. Switching to taijutsu, the Iwa Genin closed the distance, fists and feet striking like boulders. Roy met each blow head-on, a blur of speed and power. The arena shook under the sheer force, dust and smoke filling the air as the three clashed, raw elemental and physical strength on full display. From the cage box, Natsumi and Menma, still energized from Naruto's match, watched intently. But one-chan is still the coolest, Natsumi insisted. Yeah, Menma agreed. No one can beat her. Minato and Kushina chuckled, amused by their children's unwavering admiration. They felt pride for Naruto, yet recognized the ferocity of the Iwa Genin, strength that demanded respect. The battle reached its peak as Roy, battered and bloodied, unleashed one final, overwhelming fire-style jutsu. Flames roared and engulfed Jackum and Kura, searing their defenses and leaving them scorched. They collapsed, utterly defeated. Roy, chest heaving and eyes ablaze, stood victorious. The crowd erupted in thunderous applause, their cheers praising his sheer power and indomitable resolve. The Iwa proctor's voice rang throughout the arena, confirming Roy's win. Silence fell for a moment as spectators braced for the next match, still buzzing from the spectacle they had just witnessed. The arena, still resonating with admiration for Roy, fell quiet as the proctor announced the third match. Match 3. Ripa, Concho, and Rock, all representing Iwagakure. 3 shinobi entered the battlefield. Ripa, a kunoichi with a calm yet unnerving stare, exuded quiet confidence, one hand resting lightly on her katana. Concho and Rock mirrored her poise, their stances radiating the strength of earth-style techniques and swordsmanship. The match began with careful precision. Concho and Rock struck with calculated earth-style jutsu, summoning jagged rocks and fissures. Ripa, fluid and graceful, parried each attack with lightning-fast katana strikes, effortlessly deflecting their assaults. The crowd watched intently, eyes tracking the intricate dance of stone and steel. Concho and Rock pressed their advantage, crafting a labyrinth of rock that threatened to trap Ripa. Yet Ripa, agile and precise, weaved through the terrain, her katana flashing with deadly accuracy. She retaliated with swift kenjutsu, forcing her opponents to fall back. Then, Ripa revealed her secret, a genjutsu. With a subtle hand seal and an intense gaze, she unleashed illusion style. Torture master. The effect was immediate and horrifying. Concho and Rock's stoic faces twisted into masks of terror as they screamed in unbearable agony. Their cries echoed through the arena, not from physical pain, but from mental torment so severe it chilled the blood of all who heard. From the cage box, horror washed over Minato and Kushina. Natsumi and Menma clung to their parents, pale and trembling, trying to block out the horrific sounds. Naruto, senses heightened, shivered at the cries. The genjutsu's nature was clear, a brutal assault on the mind itself. The screams persisted as Concho and Rock writhed uncontrollably. The crowd, initially silent in suspense, now watched with a mix of dread and fear. The Iwa Proctor observed with a detached, grim expression. Finally, the two shinobi collapsed, bodies limp and broken. Ripa, serene, stood victorious, her katana gleaming under the arena lights. Silence fell, broken only by the ragged breathing of the defeated. The thrilling excitement of the Chunin exams was now overshadowed by a sense of dread. Ripa's win, achieved through such a terrifying technique, left a dark mark on the tournament, a chilling reminder of the dangers lurking in the shinobi world. The uneasy quiet lingered as the proctor announced the fourth match. Match 4, Anko Mitarashi, Asuma Sarutobi, and Kurenai Yuhai, all from Kano Hagakure. 3 Konoha genin entered, their expressions contrasting the grim atmosphere. Anko's energy barely contained, grinned fiercely. Asuma, calm yet alert, exhaled smoke from his cigarette, scanning the arena. Kurenai, composed and collected, radiated quiet confidence, her genjutsu skills a silent threat. Natsumi and Menma, fear momentarily forgotten, cheered loudly. "Go One-chan's friends," Natsumi shouted, brimming with excitement. "But One-chan is still the coolest." "Yeah," Menma added, nodding vigorously. "No one can beat One-chan." Minato and Kushina, still concerned after Ripa's genjutsu, watched their children with mixed amusement and worry, hoping the next battle would be less brutal. The match erupted in a whirlwind of activity. Anko, unpredictable and fierce, hurled kunai and shuriken with deadly accuracy. Asuma's wind-style jutsu amplified his strikes, creating slicing gusts. Kurenai's illusions subtly distorted the battlefield, disorienting their opponents. Blades, wind, and illusion clashed in a mesmerizing chaos. Anko's ferocity pushed her opponents on the defensive, Asuma countered with destructive wind bursts, and Kurenai's subtle genjutsu created phantom images and shifting landscapes. The crowd watched enthralled. The interplay of Anko's raw power, Asuma's wind mastery, and Kurenai's illusions was mesmerizing. The climax came as Kurenai's genjutsu peaked. She trapped Anko and Asuma in a nightmarish illusion. Anko, momentarily subdued, struggled to regain her senses, while Asuma was caught in a swirling, illusory storm. With precision, Kurenai incapacitated both opponents. Their bodies crumpled, and the illusion vanished, leaving a stunned arena. Kurenai, calm and composed, was declared the victor. Cheers erupted for her masterful genjutsu. The Iwa Proctor announced her win with a neutral tone. From the cage box, Natsumi and Menma's excitement continued unabated. "Go Kurenai ni," Natsumi yelled, "but One-chan is still the best." "Yeah," Menma echoed, nodding fiercely. "No one beats One-chan." Minato and Kushina smiled at their children's loyalty, proud of Kurenai's skill while appreciating the talents of all 3 genin. The arena fell silent once more as the proctor announced Match 5. Match 5, Shisui Uchiha from Kano Hagakure, Shai from Kumagakure, and Sta from Iwagakure. The genin stepped forward, composed yet alert. Shisui, calm but focused, his Sharingan ready, exuded quiet confidence. Shai, fierce and determined, crackled with lightning-style energy. Sta, poised and commanding, prepared earth and water-style jutsu. From the cage box, Natsumi and Menma cheered, though slightly subdued. "Go Shisui ne," Natsumi encouraged. "But One-chan is still the coolest." "Yeah," Menma nodded. "Shisui ne is strong, but One-chan's stronger." Minato and Kushina smiled gently, proud of their children's devotion yet mindful of the match's danger. The battle began with elemental fury. Shai's lightning attacks struck with deadly precision. Sta countered with earth and water jutsu, summoning rocks and torrents of water. Shisui, Sharingan active, anticipated their attacks, moving with fluid grace. The arena became a storm of lightning, rock, and water. Shai pressed aggressively, while Sta defended and sought openings. Then, Sta revealed her trump card. Earth-style Earth Swallow. The ground beneath Shisui and Shai split open, threatening to engulf them. Caught off guard, Shai was swallowed by the earth, her screams abruptly silenced as the ground closed around her. Shisui, anticipating the strike thanks to his Sharingan, leapt to the side just in time, narrowly avoiding the earth-shattering attack. He landed atop a nearby rock formation, his eyes sharp and wary. Sta, wearing a triumphant smirk, turned her focus toward him. But before she could strike again, Shisui unleashed his Sharingan Genjutsu. His eyes flared crimson, and Sta's victorious expression melted into confusion, then dread. Caught in the grip of Shisui's Genjutsu, Sta collapsed unconscious to the ground. With his eyes returning to normal, Shisui stood over her, a grim calm on his face, victorious. Silence fell over the arena, broken only by Sta's uneven breathing. The crowd, initially tense with expectation, now shifted to a state of shock and unease. The sudden, brutal death of Shai followed by Shisui's swift, decisive win left a chilling effect. In the cage box, Natsumi and Menma, pale and wide-eyed, clung to their parents. Witnessing Shai's violent death, the first fatality they had ever seen, had shattered their excitement and innocence. Minato and Kushina held their children close, their expressions heavy with concern. Though they had hoped to shield them from the harsh truths of the shinobi world, the Chunin exams had forced reality into their hearts. The Iwa proctor, face neutral, formally announced Shisui's victory in a flat tone. The arena remained tense, the crowd still absorbing the shocking outcome. The somber atmosphere lingered as the Iwa proctor introduced the sixth and final match of the first round. Match 6, Itachi Uchiha from Konohagakure, Momota from Iwagakure and Soko, also from Iwagakure. Three figures entered the field. Itachi, calm and composed with his Sharingan active, exuded quiet confidence, his gaze piercing and vigilant. Momota and Soko, Iwagakure Kunoichi, radiated determination, their stances showcasing earth-style jutsu while hints of fire-style techniques lingered. Back at the Uchiha compound, Fugaku Uchiha watched the battle on a large screen, his face proud and expectant. Beside him, 6-year-old Sasuke's eyes shone with admiration as he cheered. "Go, Itachi!" Sasuke shouted, excitement in his voice. "Show them your skills!" Mikoto Uchiha, observing from the designated sensei section, watched with a mix of pride and worry. She knew her son's abilities well, yet the dangers of the Chunin exams were never far from her mind. In the cage box, Natsumi and Menma, recovering from the prior shock, cheered again. "Itachi is strong too," Natsumi called, her voice bright. "But one-chan is still the best." "Yeah," Menma agreed, nodding energetically. "No one beats one-chan." Minato and Kushina, relief and caution on their faces, watched their children, happy to see their spirits renewed yet mindful of the unpredictability of the exams. The match commenced with careful precision. Momota and Soko, in sync, unleashed a torrent of earth-style attacks, forming jagged terrain to trap Itachi, supplementing with fire bursts to complicate the assault. Itachi, however, analyzed every move with his Sharingan, effortlessly evading the attacks. His movements were fluid, a blur of skill and speed, dodging rock and flame with ease. Then he revealed a terrifying mastery. The Sharingan allowed him to mimic their techniques. A rapid sequence of hand seals replicated their earth-style attacks against them, while he countered fire with his own flames, hotter and more intense. Momota and Soko's confident expressions crumbled into disbelief. Outmaneuvered and outclassed, they succumbed to Itachi's precise strategy. The arena fell into stunned silence at his display. The Iwa proctor, neutral-faced, announced Itachi's victory in the same detached tone. Fugaku beamed with pride as he watched. Sasuke, eyes shining, cheered ecstatically. "Itachi is amazing. I want to be like him." Mikoto, filled with love and relief, smiled softly, grateful her son was unharmed. In the cage box, Natsumi and Menma maintained their enthusiasm. "Itachi was incredible," Natsumi exclaimed. "But one-chan is still unbeatable." "Yeah," Menma echoed, nodding eagerly. Minato and Kushina smiled gently, proud of Itachi yet relieved that no further fatalities occurred during the first round. The Iwa proctor's voice echoed, signaling the end of the first round. "The first round of the Chunin exams is complete. Second and third rounds commence tomorrow. Prepare yourselves." Despite exhaustion, the genin stood tall, determination shining in their eyes. They had faced formidable opponents, witnessed shocking events, and survived, proving their resilience as shinobi, ready to fight for village, friends, and dreams. That night, tension lingered as Team 7, 3, and remaining Team 2 members, Gecko and Yugao, gathered in a participant's room. Naruko's expression was grave as she spoke to Itachi, Shisui, and Kurenai. "I have a warning," she said quietly. "If you face Ripa in the next round, you should consider forfeiting." Itachi, Shisui, and Kurenai exchanged surprised looks. Forfeit? Itachi asked, frowning. Why? I sense she hasn't revealed everything, Naruto replied, eyes dark with certainty. Her genjutsu, it's unlike anything I've felt. There's a hidden darkness, a power she holds back. I don't want anyone risking themselves. Her teammates, trusting her heightened senses, nodded gravely. They understood the seriousness of her warning. I will handle Ripa myself, Naruto continued firmly. But I need your promise that you'll listen. Itachi, Shisui, and Kurenai nodded in solemn agreement, respecting her judgment. The room fell into a heavy silence, the day's brutal battles and shocking deaths weighing on their shoulders. The conversation turned to the Kiri team responsible for Amoni's death. Yugo and Gecko, grief-stricken, recounted the events, while Itachi's cold fury revealed that Team 7 had eliminated the Kiri team in the terrain of death. Relief washed over Yugo and Gecko. Amoni's death had been avenged. Later, the door opened, and Minato, Kushina, Natsumi, and Menma entered, easing the tension slightly. Pride and concern marked their faces as they greeted the genin and sensei. The twins' arrival brought cheer. Natsumi and Menma ran to Naruto, wrapping their arms around her legs. One-chan, they shouted in unison, admiration shining in their voices. You were amazing. Naruto's heart softened, her smile returning their affection. You watched my match, she asked warmly. Natsumi nodded vigorously. You were incredible, you didn't even flinch. Menma added, eyes wide with awe, you're the strongest one-chan ever. Laughter and warmth filled the room, easing the day's tension. The shinobi present couldn't help but smile at the children's innocent joy. As the evening wore on, the group shared thoughts on the day's events, cautious but comforted by Natsumi and Menma's presence. The next day, the arena buzzed with tension as the second round of the Chunin exams approached. Fugaku, with young Sasuke by his side, joined Minato, Kushina, Natsumi, and Menma in the cage box. Fugaku scanned the field stoically, eyes seeking Itachi, while Sasuke cheered excitedly for his brother. Itachi and I will come out on top, Sasuke shouted, his voice brimming with absolute certainty. The Tsuchikage, leader of Iwagakure, had also arrived, his presence adding a tense political weight to the arena. He surveyed the battlefield with a sharp, calculating gaze, lingering particularly on Naruto. That Konoha girl, the Tsuchikage muttered, his tone edged with disdain. She's skilled, but Ripa will handle her. Iwagakure will claim victory. Natsumi and Menma, their cheeks flushing with indignation, immediately fired back. No way, Natsumi shot, her voice firm and defiant. One-chan is unbeatable, she'll crush anyone. Exactly, Menma added, nodding enthusiastically. One-chan is the strongest. She won't lose. A childish argument broke out, with the Tsuchikage's condescending comment clashing against the twins' fierce defense of their sister. Minato and Kushina, a mixture of amusement and mild exasperation on their faces, tried to calm the tension. Fugaku, ever stoic, observed the scene with quiet, detached amusement. The Iwa Proctor's booming voice cut through the chatter, signaling the start of the second round. First match, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze from Konohagakure vs. Roy from Iwagakure. Naruto stepped forward, composed and focused. Roy faced her, eyes blazing with determination, his body radiating raw power. The battle erupted in a storm of elemental fury. Roy unleashed a ferocious barrage of fire jutsu, scorching the ground and sending waves of heat toward Naruto, aiming to overpower her. Yet Naruto remained calm. Her gravity manipulation created an invisible shield around her, freezing the flames midair. The fire hovered harmlessly, its heat dissipating into nothingness. Roy's confident expression faltered as he pressed on, switching to close-quarters combat. His strikes were precise, his taijutsu honed to deadly perfection, each blow packed with immense force. But Naruto's gravity field extended outward, effortlessly blocking every strike. His fists and feet slammed against invisible resistance, unable to land a single hit. The arena fell silent, the audience stunned by her control. Without moving from her stance, Naruto had nullified both elemental and physical attacks. With a subtle shift, she sent a wave of gravitational force at Roy, hurling him across the battlefield. He crashed down, defeated and dumbfounded. Naruto had triumphed effortlessly, her overwhelming power leaving everyone speechless. From the cage box, Natsumi and Menma erupted in jubilation. "See," Natsumi cheered, eyes shining with pride. "One-chan is unstoppable." "Yeah," Menma agreed, nodding vigorously. "No one can touch One-chan." The Tsuchikige's face, a mixture of disbelief and frustration, remained silent, his confidence shattered. Fugaku, still calm, watched Naruko with keen interest, impressed by her extraordinary abilities. Minato and Kushina exchanged looks, pride and relief evident on their faces. Their daughter's strength was undeniable, but so was the danger it carried. The arena, still buzzing from Naruko's display, quieted as the Iwa proctor announced the next bout. Second match. Kurenai Yuhai from Konohagakure vs. Ripa from Iwagakure. Kurenai stepped onto the field, composed and serene. Ripa faced her, her calm gaze unnerving, hand resting lightly on her katana. The crowd leaned forward in anticipation. Before a single strike was thrown, Kurenai raised her hand. "I forfeit." Gasps rippled through the audience. The Iwa proctor raised an eyebrow. "Forfeit, without a fight," Kurenai nodded firmly. "I have my reasons," she said, her tone resolute. Ripa's expression didn't change, she simply acknowledged with a nod. After a pause, the proctor declared Ripa the victor. Natsumi and Menma looked puzzled, turning to their parents. "Why did Kurenai give up?" Natsumi asked, voice full of confusion. "Yeah," Menma added, frowning. "Why didn't she fight?" Minato and Kushina exchanged thoughtful glances. "She must have had a valid reason," Minato said softly. "Perhaps she recognized a danger beyond her ability." Sasuke, curious, looked to his father. "Tusan, why would she forfeit?" Fugaku, stoic as ever, replied, "A wise shinobi knows when to avoid needless conflict. Kurenai must have judged the risk too great." A tense silence hung over the cage box, the unexpected forfeit unsettling everyone. The Iwa proctor's voice resounded again. Third match. Itachi Uchiha from Konohagakure vs. Shisui Uchiha from Konohagakure. Excitement rippled through the arena. Two Uchiha prodigies, teammates and friends, now faced each other in a display of unmatched skill. Itachi and Shisui entered the field, calm and focused, their mutual respect evident. The duel began with a precise exchange of attacks. Itachi, sharing and activated, anticipated Shisui's every movement. Shisui, moving with blinding speed, countered with equally sharp strikes, his own sharing and guiding him flawlessly. The arena became a dazzling spectacle of sharing and mastery, a dance of reflex and foresight, attack and counterattack perfectly synchronized. The audience watched breathless as the two Uchiha displayed their unparalleled abilities. Itachi and Shisui pushed each other to the limit, each anticipating the other's moves with uncanny precision. At the climax, both unleashed their strongest genjutsu. Illusions swirled, the arena morphing into a shifting labyrinth of phantom landscapes. A battle of the mind ensued, yet neither could dominate. Their genjutsu clashed perfectly, leaving the contest a stalemate. The match ended in a tie. The Iwa proctor announced the result, tinged with slight disappointment. The crowd erupted in applause, awed by the Uchiha prodigies. From the cage box, Fugaku's pride was clear as he watched his son. Sasuke's eyes shone as he cheered. "Itachi was incredible," he exclaimed. "He's amazing." Minato and Kushina observed quietly, respect etched on their faces. The Uchiha duo's mastery of sharing and techniques was truly remarkable. The arena, still humming with the tension of the stalemate, fell silent once more as the Iwa proctor declared the final bout. Final match, Naruko Uzumaki Namikaze from Konohagakure vs. Ripa from Iwagakure. Naruko stepped forward, composed as ever. Ripa faced her, calm and steady, hand on her katana. Anticipation filled the crowd. Then Naruko did something unexpected. She closed her eyes. Confused murmurs spread through the arena. Ripa, unflinching, studied her opponent, realizing the strategy. Naruko knew her genjutsu relied on eye contact. In the cage box, Natsumi and Menma stared in disbelief. "Two-chan, Ka-chan, why did one-chan close her eyes?" Natsumi asked, bewildered. "Yeah," Menma echoed, frowning. "Why isn't she looking?" Minato and Kushina exchanged knowing looks. "Naruko has a reason," Minato said softly. "She's relying on her other senses." From beside them, Sasuke Uchiha's eyes widened with curiosity as he turned toward his father. "Tusan, why has she closed her eyes?" Fugaku, his face calm and unreadable, answered, Naruko is relying on her other senses. She's likely detected a flaw in her opponent's genjutsu. Ripa, recognizing her illusion was no longer effective, adjusted her approach. Performing a series of intricate hand seals, she summoned a massive eagle, Ari, its broad wings casting a shadow over the arena floor. Ari, talons glinting and eyes sharp, dove toward Naruko, generating gusts of wind with each powerful wing beat. Naruko, eyes still shut, used her heightened senses to predict and track the beast's movements. With precision, Naruko released her chakra chains, golden strands lashing out to bind Ari's wings. Using her control over gravity, she spun the massive eagle in a whirlwind, sending it hurtling through the air. The audience gasped as Naruko, still blind to sight, wielded Ari like a weapon, swinging the creature in a wide arc. With a deft throw, she launched Ari toward Ripa. Ripa, her face calm, dispelled the summoning jutsu, causing Ari to vanish in a swirl of smoke. But before she could react further, Naruko silently appeared behind her, her movements fluid and swift. Naruko unleashed Shinra Tensei, a wave of repulsive force so strong it shattered the arena wall behind Ripa, knocking her unconscious. Silence fell over the arena, broken only by Naruko's soft breathing. Her eyes remained closed as she stood victorious, then slowly opened, scanning the surroundings with composed authority. The crowd erupted into cheers, their awe and admiration filling the space. Naruko, poised and collected, had claimed victory in the Chunin exams tournament. From the cage box, Natsumi and Menma's faces beamed with pride as they turned toward the Tsuchikage, sticking out their tongues in childish triumph. See, Natsumi shouted, pride in her voice. One-chan won. Yeah, Menma added, nodding eagerly. She's amazing. The Tsuchikage, a mix of amusement and reluctant respect on his face, smiled at the children and nodded. He had witnessed Naruko's extraordinary control over gravity and her sensory abilities, and could not deny her victory. The Chunin exams tournament had concluded, and Naruko Uzumaki Namikaze, daughter of the Yellow Flash, had emerged triumphant, a testament to both her skill and her unyielding determination. The next day, the Hokage office in Konoha was alive with a mix of celebration and formality. Minato Namikaze sat behind his desk, the Hokage's hat casting a shadow over his face as a symbol of his responsibility. He watched Menma and Natsumi darting around the office, engaged in a lively game of tag. Kushina Uzumaki, seated on a nearby couch, her red hair vivid against the official setting, laughed at the children's antics. Hiruzen Sarutobi, former Hokage, stood beside Minato, a reassuring presence of experience and wisdom. Team 7, Team 3, and the remaining members of Team 2, Yugao and Gekko, stood before Minato, with their senseis Mikoto Uchiha, Tadu Uchiha, and Meraki Uchiha behind them. The genin, filled with a mix of pride and anticipation, awaited the Hokage's announcement. Genin, Minato began, his voice firm yet warm, throughout the Chunin exams, each of you displayed courage and remarkable skill. You faced strong opponents, overcame challenges, and represented Konoha honorably. He paused, sweeping his gaze over the group. Based on your performance, I, Minato Namikaze, 4th Hokage of Konohagakure, hereby promote the following genin to Chunin rank. Taking a deep breath, he met each of their eyes. Naruko Uzumaki Namikaze. Menma and Natsumi, pausing their game, erupted with joy. One-chan. One-chan, they shouted, bouncing with excitement. Yugao Yuzuki. Yugao's calm composure did not hide the pride shining in her eyes as she bowed. Kurenai Yuhai. Kurenai nodded gracefully, maintaining her poise. Itachi Uchiha. Itachi inclined his head, composed and silent. And Shisui Uchiha. Shisui's gentle smile widened as he gave a slight bow. The office filled with applause, celebrating the genin's accomplishments. Mikoto, Tadu, and Meraki's faces glowed with pride as they congratulated their students. Meanwhile, in Iwagakure, a similar scene unfolded in the Tsuchikage office. The participating Iwa genin stood respectfully before their leader. You have represented Iwagakure with determination, the Tsuchikage declared. Based on your efforts, I promote Ripa and Roy to Chunin. The Iwa genin bowed proudly, their new rank officially recognized. The Chunin exams had concluded, and a new generation was ready to face the trials ahead. Back in Konoha, the celebratory atmosphere in the Hokage's office shifted abruptly. Naruto, senses alert, felt a subtle disturbance in the air. Her eyes narrowed as she scanned the room. Near a seemingly ordinary wall hanging, she detected 3 distinct, masked chakra signatures, suppressed yet unmistakable. Shinobi. Root Shinobi. Naruto leaned toward Itachi and Shisui, whispering, "Protect Natsumi and Menma," her eyes fixed on the corner. The Uchiha activated their Sharingan, moving silently to shield the twins, aware of the danger. Root was notorious for ruthlessness and disregard for the Hokage, and their presence signaled defiance. Naruto extended her chakra chains, golden strands slithering toward the hidden enemies. The 3 Root Shinobi were forced into view, leaping from their concealed position, masks obscuring their faces, uniforms dark and functional. Minato and Hiruzen's expressions hardened as they recognized the Root agents, Danzo's operatives acting boldly. The Root Shinobi, 2 Kunoichi and 1 male, landed quietly in the office center, evaluating the situation with precise movements. Naruto retracted her chakra chains, standing firm, eyes unwavering. Tension thickened, replacing the earlier joy with silent threat. The male Root Shinobi spoke flatly, "We are messengers. Danzo-sama requests the Hokage at his estate within the hour." Naruto's eyes narrowed, suspicion clear. "Danzo is not the Hokage. If he wishes to speak with the Hokage, he should come here. Hiding in my office is suspicious. Reveal your true intent." The shinobi remained silent, their stillness unnerving. Minato watched quietly, calculating the implications of Danzo's defiance. Hiruzen's gaze was wary, recognizing the threat and potential manipulation. The silence broke as the Root Shinobi vanished in a swift shunshin, leaving a chilling emptiness behind. Naruto stayed alert, sensing the confrontation was far from over. Minato turned to Hiruzen gravely. "Danzo is testing us." Hiruzen nodded, concern deep in his eyes. "We must be careful. Confrontation could be unpredictable, but we cannot allow impunity." The atmosphere remained heavy, the Root intrusion a stark reminder of the hidden dangers within Konoha.